All right, so we're just finishing up a couple of these axioms here that we're going to give away. So the Axiom Slingshot itself, this has been one of my favorites to make since we came up with the design. So came up with the Axiom design in late 2010, early 2011, somewhere around in there. And it was really kind of born from the Omega design, which is one of the first designs from Flipping Out. So for a little back history here, I started into the slingshot journey under the brand of Flipping Out Slingshots. Those were all handmade by myself. And that was the company that I ran as a handmade company prior to Simple Shot. But the Axiom design, like I said, it came from the Omega design. So the Omega design here, this was one of the very first designs. This actually kind of spawned the Scout. But this was early in our designing career, my designing career. This slingshot, it fits really well. It's a big slingshot, big slingshots, wide slingshots, 100 mil plus forks, where that was the common size back in 2008, 9, 10, in that range. We were liking bigger forks, but as we started experimenting, getting smaller forks, that's when I kind of came up with the Axiom. So the Omega here was the original design that the Axiom was born from. So one thing that I really always paid attention to when designing slingshots is I want something, a slingshot's a slingshot. So we got tree forks here, you know, this is going to function as a slingshot just as well as this is going to function as a slingshot. And this one will have its own beauty. However, putting the human touch into a natural form, there's some things you really want to pay attention to. So the golden ratio, perhaps you've heard of that. So I kind of redid the Omega. The Omega was kind of born from function first. I wanted a palm swell. We were one of the first people to do palm swells, and the really deeply scalloped forefinger grooves so that you had really positive hand placement. However, this one's off. Visually to me, this one's off. And one of the things I enjoy most about slingshots is how they interact, how they feel in my hand, but more importantly, when I gaze upon them, how they make me feel. So that's a personal thing. Not everybody gets it. But I went with the Axiom, went back and we changed some of the dimensions, some of the shapes to really take advantage of the golden ratio. And that gives a slightly more elongated handle. A couple of things that make the Axiom is all the Axioms that we've ever produced. We've done lots of different variants. They have a nice point here on the handle, and the cup and the forks come down to a point rather than being a sweep. So the Axiom design came out smaller. So this was the first time that I'd really gone down, you know, below 100 millimeters personally. So the first Axioms, I believe this one here is probably one of the iterations of the earlier Axioms. That's still high 90s, pushing 100 millimeter fork width. Of course, we put out the Axiom FlipKung. This is we kind of set the bar for the skeletonized paracord-wrapped slingshot. This was the original Axiom design. It probably looks similar to some other paracord-wrapped designs, but they were slightly wider. As time went on, we started scaling things down. We did the Maxim Slingshot. So this one here was actually made by Toolman Tim, but this is off of a Maxim core with the forks cut just for over the top. But we're moving to narrower and narrower forks. So today, most folks, 90 mil is pretty much the standard. A lot of folks like a more narrow slingshot. Generally not much more narrow than 80 mil. So 80 to 90 mil is kind of the sweet spot for the modern slingshot shooter. So I've been building the Axiom in 90 mil. So the reason we've got this video for you here is we've got this kick-ass slingshot coming to you. So this is the Axiom, the original Axiom, modernized. So of course we got the integrated clips. We'll give you more details on that. But 90 mils, we've got a nice compact design. It is visually pleasing, at least to me. So the Axiom itself, how did it get its name, you ask? Well, that was a good one, because I came up with this design and I really liked the design, but I didn't know what to name it. So went to Slingshot Forum. Slingshot Forum at that time was the de facto resource for slingshots. So I put it out to the community there. I said, hey, let's name this slingshot. And whoever gets the best name, I'll make one for you. So folks sent in lots and lots of names. There was one guy out of Japan at the time, an American living in Japan. He went by Light Geoduck. I believe his name was Greg. He came up with the name Axiom. And when I heard that name, I thought, that's it. It's a beautiful, simple word with a lot of power. Axiom is a self-evident truth. And the first time I shot this slingshot, for me personally, I hit really, really well with it. It melted into my hand when I held it. When I wasn't shooting it, I wanted to gaze upon it. and it was self-evident to me that this was a fantastic design. So the Axiom it was, and that's how the Axiom name was born. So through the years, we have done a lot with the Axiom. So in our product line today, we have the Axiom Ocularis. That is modeled after my Precious. We'll get a photograph of that for you. But that was the Axiom design, utilizing the symmetry of the forks, the shape in the cup, the shape at the bottom of the handle. Added the Ocularis fork tips on it. I won an awful lot of tournaments with that slingshot. It was a much larger slingshot than I care to shoot these days, but I still shoot it really well. And the Axiom Ocularis that we currently sell is modeled exactly after my handmade model. Of course, it's been stylized a little bit for injection molding, just like we've done with this one here. We've also done the Axiom FlipKung, just mentioned that one. We did that in several variations. We did the Maxim, which is more of a hourglass-shaped bottom. Not an hourglass, more wasp-waisted. We have done the Axiom Champ, so that was an Axiom design. That was one of our smallest ones. I actually made a match set early in the day, and the smallest variant of this one really caught Ray Shot's eye, Ray Bazanski, and he did a little modification. He wanted to change up the handle a little bit, basically kept the forks the way they were, made the handle much shorter and rounder at the base, and that is our current Axiom Champ, and that's a perennial favorite amongst slingshot enthusiasts. If you like really small slingshots, pocketable slingshots, Axiom Champ's great. Of course, we have the Axiom X, which is one of the first adjustable slingshots of its kind on the market. That's been about it in the Axiom series. A lot of the customs that I did early as flipping out slingshots, the Axiom design was one of the most popular, most requested. So I have made more Axiom slingshots than pretty much any other slingshot in our product line. In fact, I enjoy making this slingshot so much. I just recently made this one for myself. This was made from an oversized natural. So I stabilized a big chunk of, I believe it was some sort of ornamental cedar out of my wife's grandfather's yard. But yeah, it's a great design. It doesn't require anything more than a piece of wood to make it out of, but you can make it different things. So this one I really made a much fuller palm. I enjoy that. But these guys here, so what we got is we've made these guys up to give away. I don't make slingshots anymore for sale by hand. Just something that it takes the joy out of it for me, honestly. A lot of folks might be asking, well, Nathan, are you going to make more of these? Sure, I make more. I will not sell them. They cannot be bought for money. We'd be happy to probably give them away. I do love to trade. So if I do get to hankering to make more slingshots, maybe I'll trade. But making the slingshot itself, for me, is kind of a meditation. So you've seen in the video here what we've gone through here. There's lots of steps. From picking out the materials, you know, I've got a palette of materials here, to the glue ups, to figuring out what type of core we want. Like this one's got a aluminum core that we made. This one's got a micarta core. Putting them together and then watching the slingshot within unfold. That's really exciting to me. I enjoy working with my hands. And most importantly, I like making beautiful things. So for me, it's really important. Of course, this is going to shoot well. Like I said earlier, a tree fork will shoot as well as just about any other fork in the right hands. But I want to make something that's beautiful. I want to make something that when I engage with it, I take a moment to look at it again and be like, geez, I really like that. And it feels so nice. And even if you're not taking it in with your eyes, just feeling the smoothness of the wood, making a slingshot that's seamless, that settles into your hand, that's important and something that I really enjoy in the process of making slingshots. So tell you a few about these slingshots we got here that we're giving away. So the one that I'm working on right here, this is one of my absolute favorite combinations of wood. Back early in the days, I was doing a lot of walnut, American black walnut, and Osage orange. I love the contrast between those two. So this particular slingshot, this has got a canvas micarta core. I chose the canvas micarta core because I really didn't want to have the aluminum next to the Osage orange. It's really hard to keep the aluminum dust out of the pores. But also, I like the subtlety of the darker colors. I'm not a big fan of metal cord slingshots. So this one I built, I'm going to have a hard time giving this away. I really like this one. This one is very visually appealing to me. But what's really special about this one, so this layer of Osage orange here, for those who have been around the slingshot world for a while, the founder of the East Coast Slingshot Tournament, Jay Shott, I never got an opportunity to meet Jay. The first year that I went to East Coast Slingshot Tournament, He was not well. He was on his way to the other side. However, he really liked my work, was eager to meet me, and he was a connoisseur of great hardwoods. He was an archer, and he collected all sorts of beautiful woods and had some great Osage. He gave me a board of Osage orange by way of patty. And this is the last little bit of Jaybird Osage. So there is provenance and power in this particular slingshot. This came from Jaybird. So a couple of things I did on this one is I ran the grain of the Osage so the growth would be this direction, the growth rings. I ran it 90 degrees. The reason I did that is I wanted to see this grain change down the edge. It kind of looks snaky. Cool thing about Osage orange is this is the lightest and brightest it's ever going to be. So Osage is photosensitive. As it's exposed to sunlight, it will darken. And it darkens into like a honeyish brown. It complements the black walnut really, really nicely. So I also put a layer of linen micarta. This is what the black layer is, just as an accent, not necessarily for strength, but more for an accent to give some highlighting. Like I said, I want these to be visually captivating, and then I want to be nice and smooth. So that's what I'm working with here. So we finished them up. I'm using a finishing oil. This is Liberon finishing oil. It's a product out of the UK. I think it's better than Danish oil or linseed oil. It stinks. It's got a lot of volatiles in it, but it does penetrate well. And after I apply 5 or 6 coats, it'll be a coat, buff it with steel wool, put another coat, buff it with steel wool. It starts to build. So you get a really good finish on this one. A lot of times I will stabilize these woods. There are no stabilized woods in this particular model. However, this guy right here, the maple on top, so this is spalted maple. This came from my farm. And it's just a beautiful piece of maple that the worms and the fungi got into. So I dried that out, got it down to a specific dryness, and then went ahead and stabilized it with cactus juice. The next layer in this one, just like the other one, is a layer of micarta, linen micarta, and then closest to the core is Purple Heart. So Purple Heart is a very, very dense tropical hardwood. Again, what we were looking for here was contrast, visual contrast. I'm generally not a fan of the aluminum cores, but I know a lot of folks like aluminum cores. Aluminum core, it's tough to get it looking nice, and it's tough to keep it looking nice. So generally I prefer either wood or a micarta, but you can use anything you like. So this one is same thing, Axiom design. Both of these that I've made are the exact same dimensions as the new Axiom Slingshot, the new old Axiom Slingshot that we'll have coming out. So slightly thicker cross section. Reason I went that direction is I wanted to give it a little bit more contouring. I really wanted to see the layers of the woods that we chose, so we could see the contrast between the layers of wood. Ever so slightly thicker than the production model. However, holds the same, feels very similar. No integrated clips. Clips are cool, but I think they take away from the form factor. I'm a little bit old school like that. I do prefer a wrap and tuck for a custom slingshot. So this is one of my favorites that Toolman made for me. It's simple wrap and tuck, very minimal band grooves. This one here, I kept the band grooves off of the front. Of course, you're going to have it banded, so you would never know. But sometimes you don't have them banded up and you just want to look at them. This one's going to be really beautiful to look at. So it's had 1 coat of oil on it so far. Getting it buffed up here. We'll put another couple of coats on, buffing between each coat. We'll definitely get you some great pictures when it's all finished. But that's sort of the story of the Axiom Slingshot. And one thing that we want to send you on with is you don't need a fancy slingshot to go out and experience the joy of slingshots. So if you haven't ever made a slingshot out of a tree fork, I suggest you do it. And if you haven't ever experienced modern slingshots, there's no need for lasers and fancy doohickeys. A simple fork, a simple form will provide you excellent shooting experience. You may have noticed there's a lot of slingshots on the market that look like the Axiom, and that's for a good reason. It's a good form, it's a good shape, and it's nice to look at and better to shoot. So thanks for joining us on this journey of checking out how we build these Axiom slingshots, or really any slingshot. Give it a try on your own. It's really gratifying to make things with your own hand that then become a tool that bring you joy throughout your day. So life's too short to shoot ugly slingshots. So stick with Simple Shot. We're going to make sure that you're engaging with quality products that are made by people that have a lot of passion for the sport. And I feel really blessed to be able to share this with you today. And I'm really excited to see who gets these really cool slingshots. I kind of don't want to let this one go, but I don't need any more slingshots. So thanks a bunch, guys. We'll be talking to you soon.